Yeah, no, I mean, I think that if you ask me what rivalries, at that time was always, I mean, it was South Side, North Side, East Side. That's where you were from, and it was just, there was always a separation there. And in the black community, you pretty much you're Southeast, which is O.D. Wyatt, Dunbar, and Poly, and they were just kind of all united. I would say that there wasn't the Crips and the Bloods and all these other separations that ended up coming after, like when we started experiencing sort of the California people moving to Texas and all of that gang culture that was created. There was sort of some division in the black community. I would say generally, like in the Latino community, it seemed to me like the black community was always very united. They had to be. It was rough on the black community in Poly in the 70s. And I think we spoke on it a little bit about what it was like, I only heard about it when I moved into Poly, because as I got a little older and started hanging out on the streets with my brother Raul, there was all the stories of how black kids used to get beat up, in the 70s, how 287 was a line you didn't cross. And it was, you keep your ass on that side, on the south side, the historic south side. You stay over there, kind of off of Riverside Drive and Berry Hill, and that was your community. You didn't come over here. Well, after I Am Terrell integrated and Poly became sort of ground zero for where the black community came into what was a very strong, proud, white community. I mean, I think if you had the Proud Boys of today, they'd live in Poly back in those days. And there was a lot of violence between the black and white community, and it bled over into the Latino community, because like you and I mean, I'm not terribly dark, and my brothers are very light complected. My brother John had his nose broken multiple times. I had my femur broken on my own front porch, just because I didn't want to give a car away to my own brother, because a kid that was standing on my porch told me to give it to him. And I said no, and he threw me over my porch and jumped on my leg and broke my leg. It was a violent place. And it took, I always credit, it took disco breakdancing more than anything. And it took the Jolly Time skating rink. I mean, I don't know if anyone's brought that up. Over on Miller, we had the Jolly Time. And my brother Raul, who is now a preacher on the street, he was probably the best breakdancer on the east side, proven that he even won best breakdance contest once a year, and he won it as a Latino at the Jolly Time skating rink. And Jolly Time was sort of a black thing, but there was no embarrassment in going in there, because he was just so incredible. He could tick like nobody's business, and everyone freaked out about how good he was. But it was kind of interesting how we went from white on black violence, black on white violence, out of all this frustration, to just almost overnight it ended. And there was no fighting. It was, if you could carry a piece of cardboard and throw it on the street and break dance, you were friends. And it just ended. And it really, that was sort of you could argue almost like this grace period, like this truce period, where nothing happened for throughout a lot of the 80s, until that drug culture kind of came about.